Good morning, world. Good morning, Eswatini. Yes, we're back. It's The Connect, and you are joining us. We are live from Emafini. So if you don't know where that is, just go onto Google and type in Emafini Lodge, and it will show you this amazing setting that we have. Hopefully, we'll be able to share some pictures with you. But most importantly, thank you for being back with us. So you remember we used to see each other a lot more often, and those days were really fun. So now we don't see each other that often, but we're just happy to have you in the room. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you're back in the room with us, thank you again for joining The Connect. And please share the link, call in your friends, let's have a wonderful conversation today. And the theme of the day is multiplicity of self. So I don't know, we're going to need to unpack that a little bit. And obviously, as you know, we're never alone in the room. So my co-host for the day is, of course, our very own Courtesy. How are you doing?
Good, Shelley. How are you? Is this where I come in?
Yes, this is where you come in. And of course, we have some beautiful people as well with us today. We'll tell you a little bit more about them. Mdura's on my right here, comedian, and also many other things, and we'll unpack that a little bit. Paula Marx here on my left, and of course, there's Mduduzi. And we'll be joining in on the conversation today. And we're not the only ones that join in on the conversation. You get a chance to also give us your perspectives, your ideas, your comments, your questions. You know what it's like. We want to talk to you, chat to you, and have you be part of the conversation. So good morning, Yael. Welcome. Good morning, beautiful people. Yael says, thank you very much. Good morning back to you. And then we have good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to connect again. We've got, is that Restream.io?
That's Daniel.
Is that Daniel?
Yes.
Daniel. Okay, anyway. We've got Sarah d'Oliveira and we've got Moira. So we've just got a screen there behind that we're looking in. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning, wherever you are in the world, maybe even good evening, good afternoon. You're in the right place. You're with The Connect and the Pacific Institute. I'm your co-host, Shelley, for this morning. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I was asking, how are you?
Oh, Shelley, life is good. We're out here adapting, we're moving, and things are just sort of just like falling back into place. We're finding some sort of rhythm in the middle of the madness. But at the end of the day, we got to dance. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay, nice. Talking about dancing, were you dancing last night, Mdura?
Oh, a little bit of that, and you know, I'm a talker more than I am a mover, so
You're
I
a
don't
mover
know.
and shaker.
You know, when people get excited from the things I say on stage, sometimes they laugh, sometimes they dance, which is very confusing because I don't know which one is the correct one. So a little bit of both.
Lovely, great to have you, Paula. How are things in your world? I mean, there's lots going on in the space. You're a mover and shaker, we know that, and we're going to give your story and a little bit of what you do to our listeners a bit later. But how are you doing?
Oh, good. Everything fall into place, like Courtesy is saying.
Yeah.
We just need to get going.
Yeah, that's true. Hey? There's this anticipation. And we're only sort of 61 days to the end of the year.
Sure.
Okay, where has 2020 gone? Mduduzi, I don't know about you, but it's almost like we slept, woke up, and that was it.
If someone's counting.
I
don't know. But, 2020 felt unnecessary for some people.
Sure.
But a lot of things that we've been learning from 2020 and knowing that life isn't always going to be as you think it's going to be. You have to find your true place at some point, so that you know you're always moving, so that when things shift around you, you're also shifting with them in the right way. Don't find yourself sticking out.
Yeah, shifting around you. I like that. There's this new word. It was kind of the hashtag fluidity. This idea of being like water and just sort of flowing. Yes, being that adaptable and flexible and not stuck. So that's been a big lesson. And of course, apart from the panel, ladies and gents, you may not know this, but we have actually introduced a live audience that's sitting just behind the camera. Lovely individuals that have joined us. So good morning to you all. Thank you for joining us. And we'll have a chance for you to ask questions or give your comments, okay, during the course of the show. So welcome. And of course, we have the dream team behind the scene, of course. DT, of course. The lovely hands waving behind a big screen are Linda Rego, and of course the beautiful Pinky Mdura. You don't often see those beautiful faces, but they make all of this possible. So we just say thank you very much to our team. And Sue has joined us as well, who heads up our Eswatini office. So lovely to have you all here. Right, guys, so if we're all good and great and bubbly, I think we can jump straight into this theme.
Yeah.
I must say, I was racking my mind over it. It's something that's got me kind of thinking. Ladies and gents, please come into the room with us and tell us what you're thinking. So we're talking about this idea of multiplicity of self, okay? Rosa Michelle, welcome. I don't know, you came up with the theme, Courtesy. Like, what were you thinking?
All right. I mean, obviously, let first things first.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I need to get this out of the way. Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Tamsanga Sibanza, aka the Courtesy of Hip Hop, aka the Black Superman, aka is that guy from TV, aka yes it is, aka did I see him on a billboard, aka yes you did. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a recording and performing artist, spoken word poet. I'm a content creator, writer, and a whole lot of other things. So when we came up with the topic of multiplicity of self, it really just came from that space whereby the one thing that I was noticing around me is that for the first time in a long time, I am seeing other people also get into the space of doing other things other than what we know them for. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, for instance, right next to me, got my brother here. You know, world-class comedian. The world goes on lockdown. He cannot express himself the way he's always done it. Now, all of a sudden, he has to engage a different level of himself. He had to go into a space of first, and I think it really just comes from this place where you find yourself asking yourself the question, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Who else am I? What more can I do besides what I'm already doing right now? And in that space of asking, now he has unlocked, I call him Drunkle Phineas, the drunk uncle, Drunkle, because so he's unleashed Uncle Phineas, he's unleashed Auntie Mpumi, and then there's also now this space where he is a tour guide / manager at what's it called again?
The beach and the private locations.
Yeah.
Yes, two places.
Okay.
So things that we have never seen him do before, well, at least not at the level that he's doing them right now.
Yeah.
Him and a couple of other people, not just in our entertainment space or in the Eswatini space. We're seeing a lot more people around the world also just tapping more into that. And I was listening to this one clip by Miles Monroe, and he was just talking about how, you know, when the manufacturer builds or creates a gadget, they put in the gadget everything that the gadget requires to succeed.
Right.
The ability to call is already built into the phone. To send an SMS, it's already built in. To connect to the internet, it's already built in. Now, it's not the manufacturer's fault that you have not unlocked the message part of it. It's not the manufacturer's fault that you only use your phone to call.
Yeah.
Now, when you find yourself in a space where you cannot call and you need to text, that function is already inside the device. Yours is then to put yourself in a position where you're constantly pushing your own buttons. What's your *686# and dial that gives you a menu of what other things you can do?
Wow. Sure, you just went deep.
That's
I feel
deep.
like I need a cup of coffee.
So
Yeah.
now we find ourselves in a space where the 3310 was popular at one point in time, and it has got limited functions. And because of the popularity of the 3310, you come in and you're an iPhone 11 in terms of your ability. But the only thing you know is that, oh, the 3310 used to do this. The 3310, and it was popular. And the 3310 only does these functions. So now here you are as an iPhone 10, and you're only functioning like the 3310 because you just haven't taken the time out to push your own buttons.
Sure. And
So
to
that's where we then
Yeah.
unlock the multiplicity of self.
Well, yeah, we've got to figure out who that self is, right? So just talking about selves, Mdura, tell our audience a little bit about yourself. You obviously have, I mean, you're known in our local space. And I love what you said just before we opened up. It was like, there's comedy in Eswatini. It's like we're still almost waking up to the fact that there is so much going on in our local context, even on the continent, right? But I mean, you've done some collaborations with some big names out there. You yourself have grown from strength to strength. Just share with us a little bit your trajectory, your life story.
Okay, thank you. So basically, I thought I was an environmental planner because that is what I studied. But then I discovered later on that I'm a funny guy, and I think that's what I love. That comes easy to me. That is naturally who I am, and I decided that I wanted to get into that space. But while I was in that space, then I discovered that there's other byproducts of what I do. And then I thought maybe I shouldn't limit myself. Then I started collaborating with other people in my craft. Then I found myself in acting. You know, I've never done an audition before, but I found myself on DTtv in a cast full of experienced actors. And then I thought I probably in the right path, because God is just right there throwing me a bone and saying, you know what, try your hand at this. The first time I read a script, 10 minutes later, I was supposed to be on, you know, in front of the cameras and doing my thing. So there's other things that have come through that. Radio, I started, you know, doing a gig on radio. I started talking without, you know, hearing the feedback from the people, because my background is comedy, stand-up comedy.
Right.
So you talk, you immediately get the feedback.
Right.
But now, you know, there's a mic here. It's just me. There's no one else that side, so I don't know if I'm doing well or not.
Yeah, that's
you know.
true.
But then within all those things, you know, I started, you know, learning how to express myself, my opinions, and you know, just not thinking about jokes, but now thinking about perspective and opinion, which is where the humor now comes from.
Yeah.
So I started engaging with, you know, young kids, you know, talking to them, and then I started just working with everyone, and then I found myself doing, you know, touring, being a tour guide, camping, and my passion basically is just people. So I'm slowly discovering what I can do within that. Then now I'm into, you know, creative writing, I'm into script writing, I'm into, you know, brand influencing, different brands. So it's just a little bit of this here, this there, but basically it just involves me being in a space where there's people that I can reach.
Right, and in so many different ways.
In so
I
many
love that,
different
eh?
ways.
So
yeah.
when people and reaching people becomes kind of the goal or the idea that you hold, you realize that you can do it in so many different ways.
With
I
everyone.
love that. And you've worked with some big names. I mean, you're not dropping any names right now. You can.
Yes.
One of the biggest names that he's worked with, of course, is your boy, the courtesy of hip hop. You know, he does have this thing, you know, we do have this thing where we do like a role reversal.
Anyway.
When he plays me and I play him. That's probably one of the biggest roles that he's ever played.
Can I get
in
my
his life.
chance? Biggest role, because I had to play a literally big guy, as you are.
But you touched on something there, Mdura, which I actually just want to sort of like zoom in or double click on. You said as you kept on, you know, trying out new things, the doors keep on opening. And there's the magic that happens in that moment, because when you are where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing, then God actually does open those doors for you. You know what I mean? Just in terms of your alignment. You know, like for me, I've got like stories for days, and as far as that is concerned, the minute I aligned my passion, my talent, my skills, and you know, and all of that, and I aligned it to my purpose. That's where the magic just keeps on happening. Like so many years later, people just keep on asking me, how do you keep going? How are you still here? And I'm just like, it's because I'm where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love it. And you say that that's the highest form of praise, actually, when
the
we
highest
realize
form
what
of
our
praise.
purpose is, and we do it sort of in a very free and confident way. So
Absolutely.
I love that. And someone who knows about passion and about this lady. I did a video, and I didn't mention your name, but you're the one in the video. It'll come out soon and you'll know exactly. Every time I meet Paula, she's doing something else. Hey? We obviously met. You came through the Investment in Excellence program with us. And you are just bubbling over with idea and energy. And what I love is you're actually able to transfer that into something. It's not just dreaming. Talk to us about what you do.
Morning, everyone.
Hi.
Morning.
Hi. True. I think for me, and I know I'm going to have to talk about the Pacific Institute, because I think for me was a big turning point for me. And someone once said to me that you first need to master yourself to be able to do the things that you want to do. Master yourself first, and then you can go into great things. I run the sales department for Premier Foods. I look after our lovely brands of SUB, Uisa, Premier Milling, our lovely Mandla Maheo. That's my corporate job, my 9-to-5 job.
Yep.
And over and above, I'm a co-founder for Green Mamba Foods, which I launched with my friend and partner, Claudia Castellanos, which is a range of health foods that is packed in Swaziland. We are now working to get actually the product to be sourced locally, environmental friendly packaging, and it's taking off very well. It's available at Pick n Pay and Spar, and soon at ShopRite. And over and above, I'm a co-founder together with my husband of a small laundry next to ShopRite at Gables.
Yeah.
So,
and the list goes on.
And this goes on.
Mother, wife, right? You're just buzzing.
So it's all about, you know, when you start to realize actually your potential and see that actually the excuse that, no, I don't have time. Actually, there is no excuse that you do have time. You'll find time in your day. And if you read the book, The Miracle Morning, you actually are going to realize that you actually can multiply yourself into many things.
Wow.
And if you apply, especially, you know, doing the things in the morning, and obviously in my case, I cannot compromise my corporate job, because you are in a position where you actually need to do more. So your corporate job doesn't get compromised, and your the company doesn't see, no, she's got other things and now she's going to neglect the corporate job, or the other way around, that I'm going to neglect my life and I'm going to neglect my husband and my kids. So it's all about how you program your day and how you program your life in a way that you give the necessary attention to all the things that you do in your life.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have days that I say, what the hell, I've got myself into it. But I've got days that I say, listen, I can do it. This is...
Yeah. Well, I've never seen you with that look on your face. Every time I see you, it's just like there's like energy and just spark coming out of you, and you're like, oh, I've just been around the corner, I've bought a new business, and then off you go, and then you're like, I'll tell you about the next story. You walked in this morning, you're like, hey, I've got a new project on. So it's incredible. It can be done, right? And I think that's what there is possibility, there is potential, but we need to decide. And I think that's you decided, and you know, and coming back, thank you for mentioning obviously the Pacific Institute. But it's not the institute itself that made a difference. It's you took that knowledge and actually ran with it and used it. So, you know, big ups on you. That's the magic is in you for sure. But obviously we know there's magic everywhere. And Mduduzi, you work with young people. Obviously I've had the privilege of you coaching also my young teen. So you work with young people. You're obviously involved in Lilima Montessori. You're involved in agriculture, helping business people start up businesses. And just an overall interesting and just lovely person. You also are doing a lot of things. And it requires obviously discipline. Clearly you need to make sure that you're putting in the time, right, to do all of these things. But what is it that makes your heart really, really come alive in Mduduzi?
I don't know, really. But I think it's what Courtesy was saying. That you have to find your purpose and then sort of place yourself there. I keep on remembering what we used to do getting on the bus. You know, we used to get on special bus service at around 3 p.m. And the adults were supposed to get in first. And the children would be told to sort of stick close to the bus, and when the adults have all gone in, you're supposed to also climb on board. And it was very difficult. So what we used to do was wait for some of the adults to go in and then sort of grab onto the rail inside and then just place yourself there. And as people went in, they'd sort of lift you up and you'd find yourself going into the bus without even using your feet. So we learned how to
Floating in.
sort of, you know, just position yourself. Put yourself somewhere where things are moving in a particular direction and you're going to be carried into a particular location or space. It's not about forcing things. Once you are in the right position, then you don't have to force a lot of things. Sometimes you'll feel like you need 40 hours for your day, but somehow it does happen. So from 7 to about midnight, yes, I'm with young people. And even after school, they're like, hey, I just discovered this thing. Can you look at this? So you do work with young people, and really you're talking about magic, and it's the young people that are the magic. It's not that you have to do something magical with them. You just have to observe the magic. And that is what keeps inspiring you. You know, they come and tell you, hey, I dreamt about this thing, and you try to find it somewhere, and oh, here's this thing that you dreamt about, and they're happy and you become happy. They're looking for this, they're looking for that. They're finding things about themselves. The more things they find out about themselves, the more you feel like, yeah, you're doing a proper job. Sometimes you don't feel like you're doing anything, but you know, the more they keep on showing you what they have inside of them, the better your life feels. Sometimes there are other things that you have to do in your life. Sometimes it's not even about teaching young kids. Sometimes it's things that happen in your life, like myself. Sometimes some people joke that I'm engaging or dabbling in witchcraft.
Okay.
But yes, it happens. Sometimes someone comes to you and says, I have a pain in my, you know, lung or whatever. And immediately you feel like you know what's going to help this person. Do you keep quiet?
Okay.
No, I can't keep quiet.
Okay.
If you want to call me a wizard for that, that's fine.
Go for it,
But sometimes we do that. So we sometimes prepare medications. And something interesting has been happening. I've been finding out that it's not just a few individuals who are experiencing all of these things. It's lots and lots of people where you find that you're making something, you're preparing, you feel like, let me take this water and mix it with something, I'm just playing. You drive down to Manzini and someone says, Aish, I have a headache. And you realize, oh, so that's why I was making this thing.
Okay.
Sure.
Take this, and the person takes it, and it's fine.
Okay.
Sometimes it will feel strange, like what is happening. But once you realize that this is happening to everyone in different ways, that's when you realize it's not just one person being special. It's a phenomenon that's happening all around, and it's happening to everyone in different ways.
Sure. That's very powerful. It's this idea that we are discovering stuff that we didn't even know was in us. But we often have been told, right, everything we need is within. But we've never been able, like you say, with these gadgets, how do we unlock it? You know, and sometimes we get too frustrated, right? We keep pressing and then we just like, no, it's too complicated, I'm done. And sometimes we do that with ourselves. When stuff becomes hard, when it means effort, when it means me being a completely different person. When I start to question, actually, you know, can we do that? Is that done? Is it possible?
Exactly.
In Eswatini, in today's space. And then we sort of, maybe not. Or the big and famous one, what will people say?
Exactly. What will people say?
That haunts us day and night. So I just want to turn quickly to the screen and see who else is coming in. Good morning from Marisa Edwards. Bridget Farrell says, good morning, Connect team, looking good today. Morning lovelies, looking gorgeous. Thank you, Debbie. We have Rosa who says, excellent topic. I hope you're going to come in, Rosa, and tell us what you're thinking. What does multiplicity of self mean to you? Philippa Thorne is on with us. Paula, you are a superwoman. Yes, she is. So are you, Phil. So are you. Okay. Once we find our purpose, Bridget says, we can keep reinventing ourselves. That's powerful. Okay, Nadia. Morning, Paula. You are really an inspiration to all. Sue, love the comment, I don't have time is not an excuse, and that's one you made. We can own our time rather being controlled by ticking clocks. Okay. Again, you're a superwoman. Thank you, TPI's team, and rocking it. Okay. So yes, please share with us multiplicity of self. What does that look and feel like in your space, in your life? How are you experiencing? What are you observing? And obviously coming back to this idea of purpose. So it's like we keep saying this, when you find your purpose, when you find your purpose. Guys, let's talk about this. What do you need to do to find your purpose?
All right.
Because we all know that that's what we need to do, but we're maybe not equipped on what are kind of some of the practical things we can do to actually get that question answered, because it seems that once we get there, we can then start to unlock all these apps, all this possibility that lies within us. But what's the first step?
For me, it like the turning point was in a time and space where I constantly and just consistently, annoyingly to myself, kept on asking the question, why am I here? Why am I here?
Like literally, why am I here?
Why am I here? Why do I exist? Why am I in the kingdom of Eswatini? Why am I in Africa? Why do I exist in 2020 and not in 1920 or 2120? Why am I here? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing here and now in this time and space? And constantly asking that question, the sort of like the answers just kept popping up in different ways. They kept popping up, kept sort of just like showing themselves in terms of, okay, this is what my parents are saying I must do, but I'm not connecting with that. And I like something that Mduduzi said one time. He said one of the biggest challenges, especially for him in the space where he's teaching young people, he says what we do is we're still using failing and failed methods of raising up our young people. We go to them. He said, who goes to a mine with their own minerals to deposit in the mine? Crickets. See, exactly. That's what I thought.
No, we're just taking that in. You just went really deep. Yeah, hang on.
What you do with a mine is you go to the mine
to extract the minerals.
Whatever minerals are already in there.
Right.
And unfortunately, that has been our operation all along. And
we're going to extract.
Our operation all along was we're going to the mine to deposit. Let me tell you what you need to do. Let me show you how you need to do it. And we forget that life rolls itself out. Life knows what it needs. So when Shelley is released by life into the world, life knows exactly, I need Shelley for this. Shelley is the app on the phone that is going to make the phone work better. What unfortunately we do is we now take Shelley, who's a new app, and we're like, she looks like she's WhatsApp.
So we'll just
we will
put her in the WhatsApp.
We will make her function like WhatsApp.
And then I grow up believing that all I can do is WhatsApp.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that's where we start. It starts by us asking ourselves the question, why am I here? Why am I here? Constantly asking yourself, and asking yourself the question, why am I here? You need to allow yourself to be away from friends, away from family, away from books. Switch off the television so you can tell your own vision. You just need to allow yourself that moment where you are just listening to your thoughts, your heart, and what is it that what is it that lights up your fire? And once you find that, time is not a factor. Once you find that, resources are not a factor. Once you've discovered that, things then just like fall into place.
Wow.
And you keep bumping, you're meeting the right people. I mean, I will never forget. I had just come back from the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders. I was back for 2 weeks. And I'm like in this space where I'm excited, I'm buzzing. I want to change the world. I want to do great and amazing things. And I'm just like ready. I'm ready. But you come back to Swaziland. Swaziland is like, come on
calm
now.
Down.
Slow down, buddy.
Yeah, no, calm down. That's too ambitious.
And in that space of the 2 weeks where I'm ready, I'm good to go, I bump into Shelley. And Shelley introduces me to the Pacific Institute. And like for me, that was like an ultimate turning point. That's what I'm saying. Once you have put yourself in the space where you're asking the question, why am I here? What do I need to do? you will literally start bumping into the right people.
But you've got to free yourself, because
You
we
do.
often do take people's
Yeah.
opinions and make them our truths, right? So when we hear, oh no, you can't, oh yes, you can, it's not possible. I mean, you rely on feedback, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Very much.
so how has that influenced your space, where you've had opinions probably on what you do, whether you're funny or not, how great you are, how successful you are, you know, be part of your growth. How do you manage that space and still be willing to say, you know what, I know who I am, I know what I need to do, without taking all of this stuff to heart?
I think I'm a very stubborn guy.
Yeah.
Because I've never at any point in my life felt like I needed approval from anyone
That's pretty
at
good.
any point. Because even when I started what I'm doing right now, my parents were like, no, dude, who else do you know
Yeah,
that does
that's
this?"
how the story goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said.
Have you seen this before?
Have you seen this before? And it wasn't coming from a place of we want to discourage you, but it was coming from a place where they didn't understand.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I had to make them understand, but not for their sake, for my sake, so that I can have their support. Because I need it. I can still do without it, but I need it, just like I probably need the support right now.
You know, somebody's in your
You
pocket.
know,
all of a sudden.
you know how the universe works. It just throws you jokes from time to time. So that was one of them. So I've never really needed approval. So I've been very stubborn. So for me, when I get on stage, when I get on TV, when I get on radio, when I get in front of people, I don't go there because I want them to give me the approval for the things that I say. I go in there because I want to share life in my own perspective and my own eyes, and that can never be wrong. It's not really subjective or objective or anything. It's just me throwing out my opinions.
Sure.
It's whatever way you take that opinion, it can never be wrong. So if I come out and I say, this is what I think about Swaziland, or this is what I think about you know, entertainment, and that is my opinion, but I'll share it in my own way. So I really don't have a problem with getting on stage and having no one laugh, because I know 100% now. You know how I think. How I think may not be funny to you, but now you know who I am.
Sure.
You know my perspective. So I really don't have a problem with feedback.
That's
I
powerful.
really do not.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. Hey, so you have to have a strong backbone. Clearly, we
Yeah,
know this,
you
but
need
it doesn't
to.
come easily, right? It's
No,
not.
not at all.
It's not an easy thing. So you're obviously in the corporate space. A lot of what's happened during this COVID times is that we're rethinking kind of what work means, and what is this 9 to 5 that I'm going to? Is there a different way to work? People have been working from home. Others have discovered other talents during shutdown. Maybe they weren't actually going to offices and working. They had to be at home and sort of waiting to see what happened. Now we're coming out and we're thinking to ourselves, sure, you know, am I breaking my back? Is it worth it? Is there a different way to work? You are balancing both a corporate space, which is very high energy because you are carrying a portfolio with many, 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 many different products, and you have all these other projects. How does it work in your space? What are some of the things that you have learned and I think are very, very important as you are in this process of multiplication? How does it work for you, Paula? What can you share? What are the insights that you can really share?
Yeah, obviously, as you said, you know, with COVID, we had to find new ways of working, and you know, find ourselves that part of your 9 to 5 is sitting in front of a screen, having numerous Zoom meetings and Teams meetings.
Yeah.
So it became a new way of working, which corporate and a lot of corporate companies have to find a new way of doing things, which slow us down, because obviously we are in a manufacturing environment. So with all the COVID regulations and all the procedures, you know, you have to find a new way of doing things. We basically we find our path, and we find our way of doing that. In terms of my other projects, I have to be honest, I could not do it without support, obviously. And I could not do it without the support of either my husband or my partner. When she's busy, I step up for her, but when I'm busy, she says, listen, I'm here, I know you're tight, and you cannot do it without help. And sometimes the most important is when you're tight and we are, you are busy or you've got a problem or you're stuck. It's the ability of asking for help.
Yeah. Love that.
Either with a friend, either with a family member or whoever, or someone close to you. It's asking for help and say, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I don't know. And by you having that conversation goes back to you find yourself, because you're talking to that person and sometimes you already know the answer because you're finding yourself and you know actually how to resolve the problem. It's not easy, as I said. It's not easy to balance. It's definitely a lot of hours in a day that you work, but it's all up until, again, you organize your day and then everything just flows. If you organize the things in a nice way and you've got the right support, and as I said, it's very important that you've got support. You can't be a superwoman. It's nice to be named a superwoman, thank you, but
you sharing that platform is what you say.
Exactly.
There are many superwomen or super people around you that actually make it possible.
Exactly. So you share the success, but you also share the load, and that helps for you to be able to actually accomplish what you need to accomplish.
Yeah, and it's the good and the bad.
It's good and the bad.
Very often with the bad stuff is we don't want to face it. It's difficult, right? The failure, the difficulty, we often want to sort of move on from it and not face it. But is it important to kind of stay in that dissonance, as we say? Mduduzi, what do you think? How important is it for us to actually face the brutal facts of some of the realities that we're facing and the truths that we might have to interrogate?
The idea is, okay, from my point of view, is that everything, from the beginning of everything, when there was absolutely nothing, okay, when there was everything in one space, okay, one very, very small space, all the good things and the bad things were right there in that one space. And at creation, they all started separating, and we could see, oh, that is light, that is darkness, this is water, this is sand, and so on. But all of those things exist together. Everything, you can look at anything you want, it's fine. Even the chair that you're sitting on is pushing you up while you're going down. That is what support means. You look at DNA strands, there's two of them curled up like this. One does the work, but the other one is stopping the other one from doing it all the time. You know, do it only at certain times. If you let it go, then it does it all the time. And you can create very, very ugly looking things. But you need something that's going to stop you from falling through. You need something that's going to block you. You need those bad things to temper your good side. You can't just have one thing moving in one direction without any sort of, even in order for us to have light, there must be something that stops it. Why does it have a maximum speed? Why can't it keep on, increasing? It has a particular speed that is known. That means something is stopping it. Something has to block it in order for it to exist as it does. You need to have those bad situations. If you want to grow up without needing approval for the things that you say, you have to grow up. I grew up with warts on my face, lots of warts. So I had a maximum of about 2 friends, and the others sort of, we're not going to talk to this boy. That's the boy with the things on his face. But the things disappeared, and I had already learned how to be myself without needing someone else to say, yes, you're right, or yes, we like how you look today, or all of that stuff. So that bad stuff is what ended up giving me my own personal freedom. And all of these things are there. You cannot live without the things that exist. They are there, and that is how it works. Whoever made this whole thing put them there. And he saw that it was good. So.
Pause. Bro, like what you're touching on right now is actually an interesting topic of discussion that we had the other day, and we're just talking about. Think about it. Your car battery needs both the negative and the positive.
And positive.
If you go to your car right now and remove the negative, your car will not start.
Exactly.
Just because it's only plugged into the positive.
Yeah.
And there's just wisdom in understanding that there needs to be that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is no is without the is not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow.
Exactly.
Okay, I hope we're capturing all these. These are super hashtags. So I just want to go to the screen, and obviously our guests in studio, if you have any thoughts or questions that you'd like to ask any of our panelists, please do so. So Yael sharing, all of you there asked the question why, and keep reinventing yourselves. My students and I listened to Courtesy telling us about becoming a successful Swazi in Swaziland. Paula showed us that there is nothing linear about career and business. Shelly, that's a shift on steroids. I don't know the rest of you, but you all share the dare. I love that, eh? You all took the dare and said, okay, I'm running with it.
Yeah.
Right, Mdura. So Nontedo says, that's right, Courtesy, but you have to first free yourself, heal mentally and emotionally. And I think it's that wanting to discover that idea of purpose, right? There's a healing that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Without that inner peace, you can't be able to free yourself and listen to that inner voice, self-desires, and that deep sense of purpose. Yeah, that's very true. So, you know, we often say this, in our space, the language is around dissonance. We also have scotomas, which are blind spots. We often don't see the picture. And we will fight tooth and nail. We will argue the point. We will break relationships because we see things a certain way. And we're not willing to see it a different way, right? So often when we learn this and we understand that we all are in the same basket, we know that when we're dealing with people, there's often brokenness or blindness, right? And brokenness is probably in every one of us. And I think that healing is very important. It's actually being able to go into that place that often we've either closed off, shut off, locked the key and thrown the key away. We don't want to go to those places. But being able to unlock that is part of getting freed from the strongholds, because that's what they are. It's that disappointment we experienced at the age of 2. It's the abuse we saw or experienced as young adults or in marriage or in relationship. All of those things hold us back from that unlock. Ironically, though, they can also be the fuel, right?
Absolutely.
So we don't necessarily grow and fight and in the midst of what you say, positivity. Sometimes it's the very things that are sore that actually give us the power and the resource to move forward. So it's an important discussion to have, I think, with all of us. So yeah, and then Bridget says, I love how you humble yourself to ask for help and know that together we achieve more. And that was to your comment, Paula. I love that. So we know no man is an island, right?
Yeah.
And we're realizing more than ever that it's relationship that has value. Customer service is more important than ever before. Do we know our customers? Do we understand their needs? Are we listening, right? Instead of just approaching with our opinions and saying this is the way it is. So now there's definitely a shift in how we look at things, how we communicate. Feedback, I love it. Are we strong enough to receive the feedback? It's not always going to be good, hey? It's not always going to be what we want to hear.
True.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy to receive feedback, and sometimes to go back to scotomas, you've got your own scotomas, and you believe that you're right.
Yeah.
And up until you actually think about it and say and think it through, and listen the other side and say, actually you're right. You're not seeing properly. You're not seeing the things the way it's supposed to. But another thing is, and to go back to the issue of reinventing yourself and finding yourself, not a lot of people's got the ability or actually the possibility to say, okay, I'm gonna find myself. But also he's got the scotoma to say, or got that idea to say that, no, I study for this, and this is what I'm going to do, and I need to find a job in that space. Or all my life, for the past 10 or 15 years, I work in this industry. Now I'm without a job, so now I don't know what to do. And it's all about to say, what else can I do? In the same industry or in another industry that is similar, that I can apply my skills, because it's all in you. You've got skills for the industry that you work for 15 years or 10 years. you can apply those skills in another industry.
Exactly.
It's all about not be afraid of starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes people,
The unlearning.
the unlearning, and you are afraid, okay, I'm going to start fresh again. And
I'm
need to
30
start.
or I'm 40
I'm
or I'm
40,
50.
and what I'm going to
Yeah,
do now, and I'm
yeah.
going to, I'll work for corporate, and I'm going to work in a restaurant as a manager, or I'm going to work in a supermarket. Don't be afraid,
Yeah.
because if you're
Why
good,
not?
you got the potential. If you're good, why not start and prove yourself that you can do it, or in
Yeah.
any business.
Yeah.
It's all about you trust yourself and trust
Yeah.
that you're capable of doing greater things, and it's all about the potential.
Yeah.
Your potential, finding your potential, find your why.
Yeah. And change the thinking around that. You're absolutely right. Because sometimes you're like, oh no, I can't do that. Why not?
No, you can.
Why? We set our own barriers, right? Because we believe we need to be in a certain place, upholding a certain image for what exactly?
Exactly.
Huh?
I think we get told too many things
Yeah.
when we're still very young. We are told all sorts of things by well-meaning people,
Yeah.
but they don't know that they are actually building a cage around us. They're putting certain barriers. They're putting limits on what we can allow ourselves to think about. Think about how many cells you have. Sometimes there's this WhatsApp group that I'm in, where we say, when someone says self, we break the word down and try to find out exactly what is meant by self. Where did that word come from? Where did the sound come from? Self and cells, all sort of sounds the same. So when you're talking about yourself, you are talking about your cells, and you have 100 trillion of these things.
Yes.
Most of them are bacteria, but you have all of these cells, and they have different functions. You cannot say that you have 100 trillion cells and all of them
Doing the same thing.
have one function.
Yeah.
It's like saying you have all these species of trees, and most people think that the trees exist to give us oxygen. Then why do they look different? Why, if they have only one function, why can't we just have grass or that type of tree?
Yes, all over.
Why are they different? That's because they get different things from the earth, and they mix them and they give them to us in different ways.
Sure.
In yourself, you can find all of those different things. They are there. In education, we talk about multiple intelligences. There are multiple intelligences. People used to, give IQ tests and say they are checking how smart a person is, but they were really checking language skills and mathematics and so on. But with multiple intelligences, you're also talking about the ability to move your body in a certain way. I can't dance to save my life, but there are people
But
who
you can move.
I can move in a certain
can
way.
express
I can
yourself,
express
yeah.
myself. I can move my tongue. I can move some things. I can do certain things that
Yeah.
other people cannot do, but they can do them. They can do other things
As well.
better than me. And so if we find in ourselves, more than just finding the purpose, you start by being aware of yourself. What do I have? Okay, I have fingers. What are these things for? If they can work to do certain things, then maybe I should start using them for doing those things. If I have ears, they have a particular purpose and they have a function. I can find all of those things in myself. I do not have to be this one thing just because someone said, looking at your grades, you should probably
Sure.
Yeah.
you should probably do this profession. Looking
Yeah.
at your abilities, you should probably be this. You can be all of these things. You can do more than what all of these people who have been trying to help you were
Yeah.
telling you that that's the best thing for you.
Yeah.
Do that, and sometimes it's because we feel like we have this thing. I have my 9 to 5 job, and if I have my 9 to 5 job, I think that's fine. I can just do that. But I know I'm not happy, and I know that I could do more, and there's all of these things that I want to do, but I can't do them if I still have the job. Sometimes it takes being fired from your job before you can, start making use of your arms. Because maybe you are still just using your mouth like a teacher who speaks
Or even
doesn't
just being
stop.
mindful instead of sort of
You
being
know.
absent. Just,
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
arrive and I don't even know what I did in the day. It's
Yeah.
it's powerful stuff, eh?
Yeah, like as everyone's talking, like a lot of cells are firing just in that space. One being something that Mdura touched on, which is perspective or even interpretation. We've known this probably for all our lives. Be fruitful and multiply. And unfortunately, what we have done is we've just interpreted that to mean we must
Be fathers of nations.
know what I mean? We must just go out
Yeah.
there and
Yeah.
do the deed. But
Yeah.
even in that being fruitful and multiply, it speaks to that exactly. Multiply yourself. How
Your talents.
Your talents.
Yeah,
How
your
many?
giftings.
How much of you can you express? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? In terms of just your life experience. And that's exactly what this is all about. I was having a conversation just yesterday with Mainstream Maine, and she says to me, but how she's talking about me, we're talking about Mdura, we're talking about guys like Daniel Toro, and she's like, but how did you guys even think or decide that what you guys are doing right now can be done? And it came back down to what Mduduzi is saying, that we have been caged by people's opinions. There's and especially in our context, there's a lot of agwendiwa law. You don't say that, you don't do that. There's a lot of that. Baseless, it's opinions, there's no truth in it. And for me personally, it was always a case of, they say, okay, you don't do that, and then I do it. And then there's no consequences. Actually, there's joy. You know what I mean? There's some sort of unlock that happens, and then I do it, and then I do it. I think of how many times I look at where I am right now, and I think about how I never would have unlocked this person in me who is now going into corporate spaces and having conversations with managers and CEOs and department heads and helping them unlock their potential if I had listened to someone who said hip hop is not welcome in the boardroom. I show up dressed exactly like
Hip
this.
hop in the boardroom. I
You know
love
what I mean? I show up
Yeah.
exactly like this
Yeah.
to a board meeting with people wearing their suit and ties, and I help them unlock. But now imagine if I had listened to the opinion that, no, you're going there. Okay, first you need formal shoes. You need
Yeah.
chinos at least.
Yes.
You know, maybe wear a golf shirt, and then, bruh, you need to comb out your hair. Now imagine, because already
Yeah.
these are now all these opinions
Yeah.
and restrictions. But I was just like, nah, let me go and find out what happens. And I went again, and I kept going, and nothing happens. Actually, more than anything, there's joy, there's peace, there's unlock, there's happiness, there's progress in that space of me showing up as myself.
Yeah, and breaking down
And
barriers,
breaking down
right?
those
and
barriers.
stereotypes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're still having that conversation, right? You know, I've got teenagers, so it's always around, oh, I want a tattoo. And then, you know, there's a parent that says, no, you can't have a tattoo. No one would employ you with a tattoo. And then they're sort of looking at you, oh, so it's not actually about me, it's about how I look. And we're constantly having these conversations, right? Because you know, the kids of today are questioning all these things, you know. So, you know, we eat meatballs on a Thursday. Why don't we eat them on Monday? No, because it's a Thursday meal. No, but hang on. And I think sometimes we need to ask ourselves, are these things really real, you know?
I was having a conversation with a guy that I work with just yesterday. So he was talking about exactly these things, why we never ask questions about certain things. For example, they will tell you that when you get inside a room, you must take off your hat. I'm just making an example. At some point in 1800 or 1820, maybe someone got into a room
Yes.
and put on their hat.
Yeah.
And when they talked to this person, they couldn't see the face.
Yeah.
And then they were like, when you get into a room, take off your hat. Maybe that's the reason why. They'll tell you that you shouldn't be standing when you're eating. Probably someone in 1912, he decided to eat while standing and then he choked.
Right.
But we keep
Yeah.
these things going even
Yes.
today because someone at some point said we shouldn't do these things. And in our culture, which is something that I question a lot, there's certain things that we are taught which I feel like we need to unlearn. For example, you cannot look at someone in the eye when they speak because it's disrespect. but then now in other places it comes across as a lack of confidence. So when you get inside the room, you cannot command the room because you are there. There's this thing that we do which I don't understand. I only see it here, where we just do this thing that I don't get. It's a sign of respect, apparently.
It was preempting sanitization.
Rub your hands against each other. It just looks like you are timid to the situation. So there's these things that I feel like society has put out. There's these expectations that we have where they tell you, look down when you're speaking to someone. You need to put your hands somewhere. Putting them in your pockets of your own pants that you bought is disrespect. So we then end up caging ourselves, like, you know, goldfish, when they go around a small aquarium, you take them into the ocean, they will still go around that same space, you know. I grew up in a small area, Smonye, which is a small village. I always thought that at some point in my life, I'm going to be a section manager because they're the big houses. And then I left Smonye, I came to Mbabane, and I was like, oh, there's bigger houses than those. So my perspective started growing. So I started swimming out of that space that I was taught to swim around. And then I thought at some point in my life, I want to go and just live in Tembelihle. And then next thing I find myself in Zanzibar, like there's places like this. So my perspective keeps growing because now, you know, I start putting myself in different situations. I allow myself to be free, like you said. I allow myself to grow because, you know, if you don't allow yourself, for example, I'm a comedian and I would have never thought of myself being in a room where now I'm supposed to just bring myself as I am because no one really takes the craft that seriously. You know, there's that assumption that you need to be a clown. You probably need to be
silly,
you know,
stupid,
silly.
and,
you know, at some point you might say something offensive, you know, but we are educated, we are smart, we've got opinion. And if, you know, the Pacific Institute has let a comedian come into this room, it means there's something that comedians can contribute, you know, in the society. You know, we've got perspective. Just now during lockdown, people were going through a lot, and as comedians, we were putting out content. You look at the thing, I've always said this, I would love to see medical aid schemes put in comedy shows as part of the package, to say, if you want to go watch a comedy show, we'll put in your medical aid. We need someone to massage that thing that's inside that you are not really confronting. You know, we may not take away the problems, but we will aggressively make you forget about that. It heals me too when I'm on stage and I'm going through something. I get in there, I make people laugh, but it comes full circle, it comes back to me, and I realize I've got a role in society. It's to heal people. You know, it's not just to make people laugh, it's to make people laugh and then think. You know. So
about their secrets.
Whoa, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. You know, when we're having fun, they say you don't see time go. And I'm just looking at that clock. I'm pretending like I can't see it. Creating a scotoma. But we've had such a beautiful time. And just as a parting note, and obviously we've got some products here. They jumped on the table while we were in the... And Paula, I would like you to share with us the product. This is Green Mamba. And like we said, we really want to showcase what's happening in our country, in Eswatini, and also on the continent. And this is obviously very, very important that we do talk about this. But just as a passing message, you know, just as we leave people who have come into the room, and thank you very much for staying with us. Those who are here, I'm not sure if there are any questions or comments that you'd like to give, but just as we leave people, what takeaway can we give them just from today's session, if anything? If there's one thing we could tell our listeners out there, those who are asking questions about my why, self-discovery, about breaking down barriers, about saying yes to the dare.
I think I should go first before they start saying really deep things. Because they really go in very deep.
They do, don't they?
Yes, and then I feel like I'm the silly one now.
I'll join you, silly too. Don't worry.
Thank you. So I think mostly I just took that, you know, it's very important to be adaptable. It's very important to flow, but with purpose. Because sometimes when you decide to just be adaptable to anything and flow, you find yourself even flowing to, you know, the wrong kind of spaces. You know, so it's very important to have that purpose, because that's the thing that keeps you intact. You know that now I'm flowing into a direction that doesn't align with the purpose. So you need to keep that in mind, that in as much as I'm flowing, I'm adaptable, I want to change spaces, I want to diversify, but is this aligning with the purpose that I created with myself in the beginning.
Beautiful. And values is a nice way to check that. So
Yes,
what are your
that's very
values
true. What
that
are
are
your values?
non-compromisable?
Yes.
And is this in line with that? Paula?
My wow moment was Curtis's comment. Shut your TV, shut everything, don't listen to anybody, and rediscover yourself. I think that's something. Listen to you first, and then you're going to be able to find other things that you are capable of doing, of multiplying yourself.
Yeah.
And don't get stuck that, no, I can only do this, I can only do my 9-to-5 job, and I'm bored and I'm depressed with my work. Just, you are capable to do more things.
That's lovely. Yes, and just talking about this before we go over to you, Mduduzi. So this is some of your product. Green Mamba is the name. You can find it on our retail points. This is red quinoa, so a lot of healthy products, right?
Yes.
And part of the clarity and understanding our value and worth is also asking ourselves, how are we living? What is the quality of life that we lead? So all this healthy eating is really very important. Hey, it can actually cloud your thinking if you're not feeding your soul, your body with the right nutrients. So like the trees outside that serve a purpose and are here to give good, we too can also think about what we're consuming. So this is just a look and feel of the packaging. It's absolutely beautiful. It's simple. It's organic. It's wholesome. Please discover quinoa, very easy to cook, 15 minutes, hey, in a pot, and it goes with everything. And it's a protein, not a carb. Yes, I discovered that. Okay, we learn every day. Mduduzi, what's your inspirational parting tool, equipping? What would you say?
Okay, I hope it's not going to take too long. I'll try to be quick. We are all expressions of DNA. All of us. We are expressions of that original DNA. If you believe in Adam and Eve, we are expressions of that. And we keep on multiplying and showing what Adam and Eve were capable of. This is what it is. That's why they were told to be fruitful and multiply. And we normally are accustomed to the saying, I will speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But I'm saying to you today, be yourself, your whole self, and nothing but yourself.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
And God will help you.
Thank you so much.
Man, yeah, like so much has been said here today, and just in terms of making the distinction between opinion and truth. Stick to your lane is an opinion. And it was said by someone who had decided that they are going to limit themselves in terms of what they can do. I'm for the idea of try out as many things as you possibly can. Find out as many different expressions of yourself that you can, because also you'll never know which one of those things is going to unlock your next level. I don't know about you, bro, but at many different times of the year, I find my different selves carry me. You know what I mean? At one point in time, it's the facilitator that's bringing in money and helping out the rapper and the poet. And at one point in time, it's the poet that takes over. And so in any given point in time, one of my many selves is sort of like the captain of the ship. And that's how I remain sane. But also I discovered that that's the only way I will live a life that will outlive me.
That's beautiful. And it's all about legacy. Ladies and gents, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for dialing in. Thank you for coming in to our live audience.
There's a comment, the audience, or question.
Yes. Oh, we do. Thank you. Over to you, Nelton.
Great. Well, from my side, I would say thank you so much for such an eye-opening forum. And when I look at the $100 that I've actually spent, I've actually got way more than the $100. So I would actually encourage Pacific Institute to actually do more of this. And the other thing that I've actually discovered out of this is that, I love reading, I love self-development, but I've discovered that in the Kingdom of Eswatini, we've got our very own Lisa Nichols, our own Robert Kiyosaki, our own Dr. Miles Monroe. We've got so much to gain from this. Yeah. If it were by me, before we even leave here, we can get your Twitter handles, follow all of this. I like even the diversity. And I like the fact that it's all about being a master of what you do, and you keep on working on you before you know it. I mean, think of comedy. If you think of comedy, then you think of substance. You think of hip hop in the boardroom. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, the perspective is like changing to say, it's not about somebody being this, and this. Just get to the contact, get close to that person, listen to that particular person. Don't judge, and stay truthful and remain faithful. So it's been a great pleasure. I wish everybody was in this room. Thank you, Pacific, and thank you to the wonderful audience and the forum. Thank you so much. My name is Nelson Mojana, by the way.
Thank you, Nelson. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah.
So yes, that brings us to the end of our show for today, but absolutely we will share all of these beautiful people's contacts. Let's keep in touch. Let's keep sharing all the content, and obviously you can continuously be in connect with us. All you need to do is also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please like us on Facebook, and we are consistently sharing a lot of information about what we're doing in our spaces, and also like to hear what's going on in your spaces. So from me, I think it's just like Yael said, say yes to the dare. That's what I would encourage us to do. Just say yes to the dare and see what happens. Okay, but from us, stay safe. We are not out of the woods yet, so keep staying safe. Love each other, be kind to yourself, and thank you very much. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.
Bye.
Yes.